Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are opening up a topic that a lot of people prefer to keep firmly shut.
Right.
Extrasensory perception, or clairvoyance. The sources we're looking at call it AIWI.
And we should say right up front, we're not here to debate if psychics are real or not.
No, not at all. We're using this really fascinating philosophical dialogue between a teacher and a student to shortcut right to the core of it.
We want to explore the hidden psychology and, the disciplined mental training that seems to underpin all these phenomena.
That's the critical shift we're making for you today.
Exactly. We are completely skipping that frustrating question of, is it real? And we're moving straight to, what does the practice of seeking this ability tell us about the human mind?
And our source material, it just sets the stage perfectly by flipping the question back on us.
It asks, what is real?
And that reframing, that's where the deep dive really begins. The teacher in this dialogue, they don't deny the student's premise at all.
No, they just immediately break reality into two very distinct definitions.
Okay, so what's the first one?
Well, the first is the one we all know. It's the scientific definition. Real is that which is measurable, verifiable, and repeatable.
If you can't run the experiment again in a lab and get the same result, it's not real by that standard.
Exactly. But then there's the second definition, the life definition.
And this is where things get really interesting and personal.
Here, real is that which touches us, changes us. And this divergence is the key to everything we're going to talk about. An intuition, an experience. It might completely transform your behavior, your life path, making it intensely real to you.
Even if 1,000 scientists can't measure it.
Right. So our mission today is to understand why we often confuse or maybe intentionally blend these two definitions and how that impacts everything you believe about yourself and the world.
Okay, so let's start with the motivation. Why are we so drawn to this idea of a sixth sense? Why do we, crave this power?
The sources suggest it's driven by three really deep human anxieties.
Which are?
The desire to know what's coming, the wish to avoid suffering, and maybe most of all, the need to gain control over a messy, unpredictable life.
So if I can know what's coming, I get some of that control back.
You regain agency. We all want that loophole, that secret door that lets us bypass the usual hard work and uncertainty.
And this belief, it's often fueled by these compelling stories that just seem to defy probability.
Like those classic card-guessing experiments from early parapsychology.
Where they try to beat random chance over thousands of trials.
Exactly. Or the anecdotal stories you always hear. The practitioner who sees an old injury in a stranger or describes a detail about someone's family that they couldn't possibly know.
And of course, the one that happens to everyone. You're thinking
Right.
about an old friend and then boom, the phone rings.
And it's them. The dialogue addresses this directly. It acknowledges that, logically, it's probably just probability plus selective memory.
You think of hundreds of people, so one is bound to line up eventually.
But the text notes that it happens often enough to touch us. When that feeling hits, it passes the life definition of real. It changes how you feel.
Okay, so this is where the conversation pivots,
Yeah.
right? From trying to prove it externally to training it internally.
Yes, exactly. The teacher moves away from card guessing and towards these purely internal mental exercises.
Like what?
Things like imagining yourself going inside the wall or changing the wall's color in your mind or visualizing yourself lifting a chair that has no weight.
So there's no external action at all. It's all happening inside.
Purely inside. And the surprising result for people who do this is that when practiced long enough, those internal sensations become clear as real.
They generate an internal reality that feels just as intense as the outside world.
Which brings us to the core training maxim from the text. Logic sits in the back seat. Imagination takes the front.
I like that. It's not about abandoning logic forever.
Not at all. It's about intentionally, just for a moment, silencing that inner critic that's constantly screaming, "This isn't real. You're not lifting a chair."
By setting logic aside, you allow the mind to enter a deeper simulation state.
Exactly. And this leads us right into the mechanics of it. So if these effects can profoundly change a person, how does that actually work on a psychological level?
Right. What's the engine behind it?
Well, the source breaks it down into a two-tiered mechanism. Tier 1 is the psychological layer. It's all about the brain.
You called it the prediction engine in the outline. What does that mean?
It means your brain isn't just a passive camera recording the world. It's a constant forecasting machine. It's always running models, guessing what will happen next.
And then it uses our senses to check if its guess was right.
Precisely. So if you have a really strong expectation, like a deep belief or hope in a session, your brain is primed to see hits. It wants to confirm its own hypothesis.
This is where the imagination comes in, is the simulation room.
Yes. And when one of these simulations runs deep, like visualizing a distant person, the body actually reacts physically.
You mean like real physiological responses?
Totally. We're talking a sudden tightening in your chest, a change in your breathing, maybe a feeling of heat or cold. These are measurable.
Ah, so the mind feels that real bodily reaction, the tight chest, and interprets it as proof that the perception must be real.
It's a powerful feedback loop. You think, my chest is tight, so I must be connecting to something real out there, instead of, my chest is tight because I'm running an intense internal simulation.
It's confusing the internal feeling with an external signal.
Right. And that brings us to the other part of this, the idea of so-called mind reading.
Which the sources say is mostly not supernatural at all.
They call it subtle reading. It's just highly refined recognition of micro-signals. Think of a brilliant poker player.
They're not reading minds, they're reading tells.
Exactly. Voice tone, breathing pace, tiny shifts in posture, keywords people use over and over again. Your mind processes all that at high speed and serves up an answer.
And you think you've had a psychic flash.
When really it was just highly developed perception. And all of this is reinforced by the most powerful mechanism of all, selective memory.
The tool that keeps the belief alive.
It's the strongest non-supernatural element here. We vividly remember the 2 times we guessed right.
And completely forget the 18 times we missed.
And that builds this really robust internal story of, I have the power.
Okay, let's move to tier 2 then, the social layer. Because these things often happen in groups, right? Classes, rituals.
A huge part of it, a group environment, creates what the source calls a psychological field.
A kind of collective energy.
More like a collective expectation. When a whole group is focused, anticipating something, it becomes way easier for individuals inside that field to see or feel things they wouldn't alone.
The group expectation makes you more susceptible.
Yes. And this feeds directly into that deep craving for certainty we talked about. Clairvoyance promises stability. It says, the future is knowable, or this guide knows the way.
That's a powerful comfort.
It alleviates so much anxiety, which makes the belief incredibly attractive. You accept it quickly because it fills a deep human need.
So the psychological and social benefits, less anxiety, more focus, are undeniably real, even if the supernatural part is up for debate.
Which brings us to the deeper purpose of the training itself. It's not about finding hidden treasure.
It's about transforming your inner experience.
Right. The goal is to move beyond the reasonable and into that symbolic realm where intuition lives. This is where we get the imaginary laboratory.
Okay, this sounds strange. What is it?
It's a mental toolkit. The dialogue describes using metaphorical tools for introspection.
Like filing cabinets for past and future thoughts. And symbolic healing tools.
Exactly. It's guided visualization with a purpose. For example, using a cleansing bath or soothing music in your mind. These are just metaphors for emotional release or mental harmony.
So visualizing a blood screening is a metaphor for a disciplined self-assessment of your health.
Yes. Your mind uses the symbol to work on a real internal issue. The act of mentally applying the cream forces a deep focus on healing a mental conflict.
And people report feeling tangibly better afterwards.
Genuinely changed, less pain, less fear. Because symbols are the language the unconscious mind uses to process things.
And then there's the other fascinating part, the inner counselors.
Yes, where you summon a figure for guidance. And the dialogue notes that you often get someone you don't expect.
You want Einstein, but you get a red-nosed clown.
Or Sophia Loren. Or Shakespeare. The key insight is that it doesn't matter who they are. What's crucial is that your mind can instantly create an internal character, smart enough to guide you.
It's a way of accessing your own internalized wisdom.
It's the self talking to the self, but through a disguise that gives it perspective. And this is the final reframing of clairvoyance.
That if a sixth sense exists,
it might just be connecting with this deeper layer of intuition and symbols that we've all but forgotten how to use. Our minds are so dominated by logic, we neglect these other powerful internal resources.
Which takes us to the most practical part of this, the discipline. How do you explore this stuff without becoming superstitious?
The teacher provides 7 railings, or principles, and these are essential takeaways for you, the listener.
Okay, number 1. Treat all hunches as hypotheses, not judgments.
Right. Intuition is fast, and that's its value. It gives you a guess. But truth requires verification. Don't confuse the feeling with the fact.
Principle 2. Keep records for self-correction.
This is huge. If you're exploring this, write it down. Your predictions, your feelings, the actual outcomes.
Because that's the only way to expose the distortion of selective memory.
If you aren't logging your misses, you'll never see the truth of your own accuracy.
Third, train imagination like a muscle.
Yeah, the exercises like changing the wall color, they aren't about proving magic. They're about proving you can control the focus of your own mind. That control is a real-world skill.
Principle 4. Understand symbols, don't worship them.
The counselors, the laboratory. There's just the vocabulary of your unconscious. You have to ask a simple question. Do these symbols help me live a better, clearer life? Or do they just add confusion?
Fifth is a big one. Don't use power to avoid responsibility.
Massive danger here. People use intuition as an excuse to avoid learning hard skills.
Like financial planning or having a difficult conversation.
Or seeking real medical help. Discipline means using your insight but still taking responsible action in the real world.
Number 6 is about ethics.
Yeah.
Ethics before ability.
Yes. If you believe you see something about someone, you must learn appropriate silence. Your goal is never to make them dependent on you or to use ambiguity to seem powerful.
That has to serve their autonomy, not your ego.
That's the heart of it. Use your intuition to guide your delivery of helpful information, not to bind them to a prediction.
And the final principle, which kind of ties it all together.
The ultimate goal is not to know the future.
What is it then?
The goal is to live deeply in the present moment. That presence brings you all the real-life knowledge you need. Knowing yourself, knowing others, knowing when to act and when to wait.
So this path isn't about magic tricks at all.
No, it's about becoming a subtle human being, someone who sees the truth of a situation instead of just reacting to the noise. It's about living with wisdom, not fear.
The teacher's final belief is really powerful, that the human mind is just vaster than it assumes.
And by approaching that depth with discipline and humility, the strange becomes understandable and the ordinary becomes sacred because you're actually present for it.
So if this discussion has resonated with you, the listener, we really encourage you to just sit with these ideas.
Don't blindly accept or reject, just carry these questions with you.
Instead of asking, is there magic in the world? Maybe a better question is, am I awake enough to see the magic already operating in my own mind and experience?
And one last thought for you to mull over in the days ahead. What mental capacity, intuition, focus, subtle reading am I currently neglecting simply because I haven't learned how to use it with discipline?